Okay, we'll call to order special board meeting. Western Lane Fire and EMS Authority, South Valley Fire Rescue, and Western Lane Ambulance District. Dina, would you do a roll call, please?
Yes, Iusla Valley Fire and Rescue and Western Lane Fire and EMS Authority Directors, Tim Mendolia.
Here.
Lori Heppel. Alan Burns.
Here.
Jim Polisi.
Here.
Sam Spade. Western Lane Ambulance District and Western Lane Fire and EMS Authority Directors, Cindy Russell. Rick Yesney.
Here.
Adam Holbrook.
Here.
Vanessa Buss.
Here.
Mike Webb.
Here.
So we do have a quorum for all three agencies. And so tonight we're going to talk about, I called it station feasibility. It's really for you to learn about what do we have out there? What are stations? What are our concerns? You got a map in there. What are our concerns? What would we like to do for the future? What's it going to cost? What we want to do? And then just to get some input and some direction from the board. No decisions are going to be made tonight. If there is something that arises out of this meeting, I don't need to talk right behind you. We'll take it to a regular board meeting for a discussion and a vote. And there may be some things you want to vote on. Like we want to build a new station or something like that. So there we go. So that's our district. In the light yellow is your ambulance service area, 564 square miles. The darker gold color there in the lower left corner, that's South Valley Fire and Rescue, about 100 square miles. And I'm going to just briefly point out where our stations are so you get an idea of what we're talking about. And then most of this presentation is going to be focused on the individual stations, where they are, some interesting facts about those stations. Do we use them? Do we not use them? Do we need them? And that's where feedback from the director would be very helpful. Station 1, of course, that's where we are, sort of in the middle. And most of our stations are from Central Valley Fire and Rescue. They're going to be focused, well, in fact, all our stations are in that gold area. So Station 1, and again, I'll go into more detail on all our stations coming up. Station 2 is downtown, or Old Town. Station 3 is up to North Fork. Station 4, Sutton Lake Road, north of Lawrence. Station 5 is Canary. Station 6 doesn't have an address, but it's at the corner of South Canary Road, or the intersection of South Canary Road and Fiddle Creek Road. And Station 7 is on Oak Street, not too far from here. Station 8 is on Clear Lake. And then, what's that? 7. 8. Hey, sorry, okay. Oh, confusing. There is no 59 and then Station 10 on the hospital ground. So. Station 1, that's the station we're in here now. 4 bays. The backside is interesting. Design, or that grassy area designed for us to expand if we wanted to out that direction. So there is this space we could do that. There's the backside, and of course the parking lot side, the one on one side. Built in 2001. Properties and the building are owned by Sizewell Rural Fire Protection District. And you're gonna notice that's not all our stations are not owned by Western Lane Ambulance or Central Valley Fire Rescue. That's something to keep in mind as we go through the station. Right now, it needs roof replaced in the next couple of years. Needs to have the siding replaced. We're doing part of the south and north side now. I think they're starting next week. And we'll need to do the rest of the north and south and the east and west side. Interior and exterior paint, you can see the quality of the paint we have in here. Floor coverings are looking old and dated, upstairs and downstairs. We would like to expand the living quarters, and I'll go into a little more detail in the next slide. And we definitely need more admin space. So just behind these walls right here, there are 4 rookie beds. So we have both 4 beds, we have 3 bedrooms. Really, I think for this station, we need 8 bedrooms when we're fully staffed. For admin space, which is downstairs, we have 3 offices right now. We really could use 7 offices. So my training chief is in a cubicle, MCR, or was it WLCR program manager is in a cubicle. Who else needs an office in a cubicle? Fire marshal will need an office. So we have 6 cubicle spaces right now, and that's what we need, but we're definitely running out of space down there. Station 2 in Old Town. In that bright red building behind City Hall. Cinder block construction. That's where we have our boat. We have, you can see the back of an ATV. In case of a storm down there. Has a little lounge area. Little loft area, and that's the sleeping quarters there. That was put in by ODF, and we have 3 wildland firefighters from ODF stay there during the summer, so it helps us. We have additional ODF staffing in the area, but certainly not what I would call ideal living area. Well, Station 2 was built in 1967. I was told it was built as a garage. Maybe some of you guys that were here that time can remember, was it a garage? No. Yeah. So it was modeled in 1990. Well, not.
Ronnie Pearson's the oldest one in this room. Oh, sorry, right?
So this building and the property are owned by the city of Florence. It was part of the city of Florence Fire Department. They retained ownership of that. And then they just let us use it. I don't think it's really on a signed lease basis. But there's no danger of us getting kicked out of lease for the foreseeable future. I think they would like that property back, maybe more parking, but again, it's for our use, but I think until we decide we don't need it anymore. It needs a roof replaced, it needs a bathroom remodel, it needs one of the side doors replaced. And upgrade the living quarters if we wanted to put our people down there. Building's not eligible for a seismic upgrade grant, so it hasn't been upgraded. It's in tsunami zone or flood zone. So it hasn't been upgraded. Station 3, which is that station that was up the north fork.
Hey, Chief, can I have a question? Can you just clarify, is this, what's it costing us other than maintenance?
There's some utility costs, but
no rental type fee, just keeping the.
ODF doesn't pay us anything. We let them stay there for free in the summertime. Just the upkeep maintenance cost. I don't think utilities much. Yeah. I mean, some electrical. It does have an alarm system. We thought about moving mental health crisis program down there, but we'd have to remodel the office space and things like that. No thought of responding out of there other than maybe for some, like we need the voters along those lines. Thought about making it a special rescue station, but there's a lot of things. So this is Station 3 up the North Fork. It's a beautiful area, very rural, very isolated. Built in 1978, it was upgraded to make it safe in earthquake. About an acre. Built, this whole station is a little over 2,000 square feet, and there's living area in there. And I've got some slides of that. Building a property owned by us, it needs an HVAC. We're thinking maybe a ductless heating system in there. There is a crack on one side in the wall, on one side of the building. We're not sure what that means as far as the structural building, size of the building. And there's no cellular phone coverage up there, phone won't work, on internet, you have to have a satellite internet, and I'm not sure how that works, how well that works up there. So it's 2-bedroom, 1 bath, living there. It's currently empty. We had a volunteer fire captain that was there. I think we talked about moving somebody else in there. But again, it's, you want to live in a rural area, so without a lot of distractions, which might not be a bad thing. But it's in pretty good shape. It was kept very well by our farmer. The former volunteer that was living there. We would like it to stay as either a volunteer or a reserve, but certainly if one of our full-time or part-time members live there, we would consider that. We don't charge rent, right? Yeah, we don't charge rent for our people to do that. But again, pretty good shape. Station 4, this is the one on Sutton Lake Road. 3 bays. We get our best volunteer response will probably be out of this station. We don't have a lot of volunteers unfortunately, but what we do come out of this station. Starting to show its age as well. That's the back side. I don't have pictures, but that's where we do our live fire training. We have those Connex boxes, box cars, a couple of them that we can do live fire training in. And it's got a nice lounge area. It's well taken care of by the volunteers up there.
What equipment are in that station?
Yeah, I didn't go through, I have a list of equipment. I wasn't gonna talk about the equipment. We certainly can.
Well, I'm on the.
There's an engine.
Side, I guess, but I wonder how you choose the equipment.
Ambulances are only at station 10 and station 1. And then the engines are pretty much, and tenders are around the district. Station 4 has fire engine,
One level engine and 2 months.
the 2 months. All the bays. Not all of them. Stations, well, station 6 is empty, because there's nothing fit in there. Station.
3's pretty empty right now because there's.
Yeah, there's one, there is a brush truck.
There's a brush truck right there that's gonna come here.
Yeah. So we don't have a lot of responses up there, so we only put vehicles up there when we run out of space here. Unless we have somebody that was going to respond, then we certainly would have vehicles available. Is that what you're after?
Yeah, just trying to get an idea of why they have them where they are, I guess. What's in.
Yeah, and I thought about that, and I've got, and Andy may have a list of you where all the vehicles are. But, it's not part of this presentation, but we can certainly talk about it. So station 4 is built in 1990. It is owned by the rural park section of the property in the building. Has been seismically upgraded, no living quarters. I said there's not this lounge area, recent repairs with the apron, septic system, and roof, which 2010, but it's still fairly good shape. So it needs the paving of a parking area, and that's that little circle there. So the apron is fine. I think the parking area is gravel.
No, that's,
So it should be, it'd be nice to have that paved and then paint for the interior and exterior. This is just to remind you, there's a lot of these signs here. The sign by the road, I don't have a picture of, but it's very nice. It was just redone by some people in this neighborhood. So there's a lot of neighborhood pride about this station. And a lot of the stations will see that, but this one, they asked if they could redo the sign, and so they're all freshly painted and spruced up, and they look really nice. It's Southern Valley Fire Rescue, and that Western Lake Fire US Authority, but they still look nice. So this is Station 5, out on Canary Road. Used to be 3 bays, now it's 2 bays, and this is what I told, but went through a seismic upgrade, we lost a bay. This is the Dave Beck Memorial Station, right? Okay. Dave Beck, one of our former volunteers here for years. Looks like they've got metal siding on that. Built in 1992 by Davidson Industries, which is morphed into FIA Timber Partners. Upgraded in 2018 for earthquake safety. The building and property are still owned by FIA Timber Partners, which is what Davidson Industries grew into. I think there may have been, what, 100-year lease for $1 at the beginning. I haven't seen it anymore.
Well, is that, I guess, the same as before about costs? We don't rent it, they just provide it for us.
Yeah, there's no yearly lease cost for us. It's the utilities. Yeah. Yeah, I think they may be like in Station 10 lease. I mean, they like having us there. It's, it helps protect their property, logging property. And it's a service to the community. I have not seen an agreement that says, how long the lease is or anything like that. Yeah. That's all. Worse than the taxes are really low. There is an RV pad in the rear of the building, and we do have a couple of stations that do have RV pads. We'll talk about Station 8. We had one of our volunteers was actually staying behind the station for a while. And he moved out, he's no longer there, but we do have that ability to do that. So it needs paving and on the front apron, in front of the bays. That area right there. So Station 6 doesn't have an address. Like I said, it's at the corner of Canary Road and Middle Street Road.
Looks like the green.
On that right figure, you can see that has a little red marker on it to the right of the intersection. That's Station 6. To the left of that is the Grange building, I think I've been told. And it says there's a cemetery right beside that. I don't know if that's true or not. But this is South Carry Road, Mill Creek Road. To the north, our district doesn't go very far to the north. Just a little way, that's one of those little spurs that goes out to the right. It's in Forty Bay. It was built in 1999. Building and property are owned by Roseburg Resources. Needs roof siding, and the door will not accommodate the height of the emergency. You can certainly have an engine or an ambulance, maybe a small brush truck. Currently, there's nothing in it. Power's off, no water. I was told that they used to have a brush. They had a monster truck or a brush truck there, and take the light wire off to get it in and get it out. So it's not a very tall.
Not much cost, so it's very,
I don't think there's any cost right now.
so it's just a shell.
Yeah. And things to keep in mind, I would say, why do we keep this? And that's gonna be one of the questions we have to answer. Is this station we want to keep? There are insurance benefits to being close to a fire station. I don't know if the insurance service organization, I don't know, rates that would count this as a fire station. They get very limited in their definition sometimes. So like if we put a truck there, we could probably call it a fire station. There's not a whole lot of people out there, so I don't think there'd be a huge tax impact on a lot of people. But it could. And some people like to have the idea of a fire station in their neighborhood. Although, I don't know about, that'd be very nice. we have used it for storage. We replaced the batteries up at Herman Peak. We had like 20 of these huge batteries. And we stored the batteries in here for a while, so I mean, it's been used once, I think, in the last 4 or 5 years. Or maybe, and that may, what's that thing on the side there? Is it a port pipe?
The fuel shell of the.
So again, right now, it's just sort of collecting garbage. Station 7, just, up Oak Street. A little bit, newer condition, I think it's had 2 sides replaced, not too long ago. It's pretty much used of just, we have no place for something to go to Station 7. This is actually, I think it's been cleaned out in the last couple of years.
Yeah. It's one of our projects.
Yeah, it's still part. This is built in 1990. This is one of the stations, just like Station 2. This is the building and property are owned by City of Florence, surrounded by Lane Community College. Their property there has not had a seismic upgrade. It wasn't our building. We didn't want to put money or effort into that. Over 2,000 square feet. It needs north and east side siding. The south one was in 2018, and the roof is coming up for needing a roof. It doesn't have a whole lot in there. There's just the 2 bays, very, very tiny. Is that even office space, or is it like a closet or a closet in the back? I think you can see it, that picture, that little where it comes out in the back. This little closet.
Used to be your captain's office, but there as well.
Yeah.
Big storage for a lot of reasons.
A lot of storage there. We've had the mustard truck there before. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be thrown out because we just don't need to keep. Station 8, out Clear Lake Road. Again, cinder block construction. These have an RV that bought me. Here's the. They show this. I used to have a little RV that's supposed to pull up here, but there's an RV pad in the back. This is where we had the volunteer firefighter had his RV for a while, had a trailer back there. They're expected to respond, it will be built spots that they're gonna build it back here. And then he had access to inside the station for, I don't know, is there a shower in there? Yeah, the shower, bathroom. We do own building and property, has been upgraded. Our pad roof is about 5 years old, new water heater. There is some office space, lot space used as a lounge. There's a bathroom remodel that needs to be completed. And then that one front picture, you see the little cone by the door, that's actually surrounding the septic tank. So that needs to be fenced off so people don't drive on that. We didn't know where the septic tank was. Well, they didn't know for many years. We finally found it. And a lot of these stations are, if they have water, it's well water, and they're on septic system. If they have shower. Station 10. That's our station over on the grounds. So the land where that station was obtained in 1988, I believe it was built in 1990. The building is owned by Western Lane Ambulance District. Well, just a reminder, WLFEA owns no capital at all, no buildings, no vehicles. Everything is either owned by Western Lane Ambulance District or Sadler's Valley Fire Rescue. That's just the way the law works. And it will continue that way until the voters decide to go a different direction. So the building is owned by Western Lane Ambulance District. The property is owned by Peace Harbor. It might actually be Peace Health, but through that system. There was a 30-year lease, which states that, and this was from 1988, and that it renews annually after that. Again, I think it was $10 for the first year for the lease, and then there's been no payments needed or due. Again, we own the building, they own the property, it says in the lease, if we leave, we take the building with us. But
Reimburses for
it doesn't say that in the lease, but we can certainly, not that we're thinking about leaving. Yeah. That is one lease agreement that we do have a copy of.
Screw it up.
Correct me if I'm wrong, 6 bedrooms, no more bed. 7 bedrooms, okay.
Well, with 7 beds, 5 bedrooms.
Okay, all the bedrooms that. One, it's usually what we have.
There's technically 5 bedrooms. Then we converted another into a bedroom office space.
All this information is Kyle. So there's.
Five bedrooms, that thing, room, and the office I was trying into a split room, the front door.
So we have multiple bedrooms, multiple beds. If something needs that we identified for this, we'd like to either get an awning on the west side, just for some protected parking, or, could we even put an additional bay there, just extend out the building. Painting interior, exterior, and steel the exterior work. I think the roof is very good. Yes, I haven't heard anything yet. Okay. So summary. So station 1, that's our main fire response, secondary EMS response. We really think we need to expand the living quarters to 8 bedrooms. I mean, Murphy beds have served a good purpose. They did add, a few volunteers, part-timers here, but now that we've got the career staff, and the bedrooms are starting to show their age as well as the kitchen. We have another kitchen facility down that hallway, and you're welcome to look at that. So all that kitchen here. We definitely need to find some new admin space. Interior updates, and then the siding and roof. Again, this was 2001, so it's roof's coming up to 5 years.
So chief, when it says 3 bedrooms and 4 beds going to 8.
That's what we have.
We would, you're assuming we eliminate these.
Potentially, yeah.
The Murphy bed.
I would think so. So station 2, do we need it? This is a big question. We just use it for storage. And that's a good reason to keep it. The property and building are owned by the city. Is considerable updating. And that cost would fall on us. ODF does use it in the summertime. They have no place else to put their people. I don't know how long that would continue. They seem to enjoy it down there. We enjoy having them in town. Rarely, if ever, used for emergency responses, other than if boats down there, we get boat, ATVs down there, we need those that would be used for emergency response. And again, the upstairs living quarters are used by ODF.
And there's not really anywhere else to put the boats or ATVs, as I'm thinking of all the stations, right?
But we could go to station 7 after we cleanse it.
So right now, yeah, there's no place to put those. I mean, if we extended station 1 here to another bay, yeah, we could put some things in there, or we station 7 no problem.
Yeah.
A couple of questions you brought up, if I may, Chief Schick, as far as expansion for office spaces and such. I wholly would support with having all your administration under one roof down here, but in the meantime, to maybe to land to, could some of the other stations like station 4 be used for some office space? And you brought up like several of the stations have no cell, no internet, but you never mentioned that as far as station 4 if they have cell service there or internet services there?
Station 4 has Verizon cell service, and not having TV service, like Europe has DSL, internet, and it is. Working at that.
Okay,
I believe Mac is currently working on putting fiber in right across the front of the next. So that's probably.
I thought since you have some growing pains, could some of it be, I mean, I see by the picture and I've been there, you have capable offices there type of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it could certainly be fire marshal's office, could be training.
And then my other question relating to, station, well, down at City Hall. Do you really want to take the chance of losing that? You know, my thoughts are, as I remember years and years ago, the need and the comfort zone of the businesses down there having some sort of fire presence in Old Town. If you pull something out and you lose it, are you ever gonna get that back? And now the city doesn't charge you a dime for it.
Oh, I doubt that we would get it. I mean, if they turn it into a parking lot.
Could be that, could be that, could be that.
But then do we say, okay, we want to keep it, let's upgrade. Let's do the repair. So that's a
Well,
good.
yeah,
But can you do that in the Sonoma zone?
I don't know. That's a good question.
well, I think it
Could we not, you're saying we couldn't get a building permit?
I don't know if we could get grant money and that might be useful for.
Yeah, I think we probably have to pay cash.
well, but on some things, I mean, Mike, I see your, oh, that's so true too. Do we need it? I would hope everybody would agree, do we need it? Yes, yes. And the property is owned by the city, and like I shared, if you, would be. If you stop using it, we'll never see it again. And,
But we don't respond.
but you have things down there that you do respond from quickly,
Just because we have that space available.
because you have the space available.
Let's put something in.
Yeah,
It's kind of been a tool or a potential bargaining chip with the city as part of possible exchange for some other location that might be within urban renewal area. So there's been discussion like at the, what is it, the Quince in 1.6 area. And back in there, dating back to land board as far as.
I'm trying to think of Vince and 126.
Down Gillies, like Gillies or what, the landscape place. Right in there.
Okay, the old, okay.
The plan for.
My biggest concern is, you know, you have, I remember years ago, and I'm sure Mr. Yesney would remember, and Vanessa, there were several conversations, and Mike too, that the public down there and the businesses down there, the comfort or the need to have some sort of fire protection down there.
Sure. Yeah, that's certainly a possibility, yeah. Trade that. from-
And I know darn well trucks get moved around left and right, so.
Yeah, we certainly, and we have talked about right next to the FEC, I think there was a plan at one point to put a fire station. Once we get a hotel across from the FEC, you know, it may become more important for a fire station in that area, certainly.
Thank you.
Sure, no. That's why we're here to discuss that. And I've not heard anything from the city saying, you know, we're taking that station back. And it's always been, hey, if you guys aren't using it, we'd like to have.
Well, I'm sure after this tonight's meeting, the conversation will come up tomorrow. Oh, Rick, you just didn't want to say it, did you? You didn't want to say it.
What kind of constitutes historical building? Does anybody know what the?
Age.
Exactly. Like myself, but what, how long? Anybody have any idea? Grant wise?
No clue.
And old town buildings that are qualified.
That would be the city, from saying the city may They might not be able to tear it down, put a parking lot.
Well, I'm just saying if we would needed to redo renovations, it was considered a historic building, and then there's grant money potentially in historic renovation.
Well, I know
which is,
that property right next to the playhouse, they're, the SAP zone, that
SAP,
they're building
yeah.
into apartments, they call that historic, and they got tied up with that. That was probably along the same line.
That's better cost. If you want to keep it.
Yeah, if we were to remodel it into a functioning fire station, I think it'd be pretty much just a pretty. If we could. We were close. Yeah. But then you're gonna be doing that on another property. Switching properties, so.
But in essence, it's here because of the legacy from the merger primarily between the city and Sizemore Valley.
Correct.
Well, that was the agreement, yeah. The equipment and the downtown fire station and the one out Oak Creek, that was the agreement when it was turned merged into two. Well, excuse me, the two into one.
So these repairs on station two, how imminent are they? Is that building about to implode, or should we ride it out for a few more years?
Oh, we could, that's, at the very end, we're gonna talk about, I mean, do we bring in some mechanical, electrical engineers and architects and to tell us what kind of shape are these stations actually in? But we'll talk about that at the very end. Good discussion, though. That's what we're trying to get from our directors. Yeah, you got any questions?
Yes, I do. I've been watching and listening intently, and I think we have the opportunity. I mean, two serves a purpose for special operations, but response time, if it's not a fully staffed station, 1 in 10 can easily get into the downtown just as quick. And if the city owns it, and it is kind of landlocked, I would really rethink its usage. It's not going to affect any of their ISO ratings because 1 in 10 can easily cover it. So if you go to 10 and you add an apparatus bay that can sufficiently take in a type 1 engine or the Quint, whatever, you've got good coverage to the downtown at a rapid rate. So yeah, there are probably 3 stations that we could easily remove. And if you do a geospatial off the map, our response times are going to be good. 3 and 4 are definitely important. I believe it's 6, which is off Canary. That's important too. And 1 in 10, with those stations, we can easily cover the district proficiently. That's just my opinion.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
Jim, can I ask Jim, did he say he'd eliminate 3 stations? Jim, did you say 3 stations?
Yes, yeah. There are 3 stations that can easily be removed. If you do the call volume check and you do the response times and do a 5-year analysis, we'll go back 60 months and pull up the call logs. That one station that can't even park a VW in is useless. Okay. So, I mean, we should turn it back over to the original owner, as well as the other station that's owned by another entity. And I couldn't tell you the name of them again. Those can go. And then the one down by the Lane County, the college. Yeah, I mean, it's a storage building. It's a good lot, don't get me wrong. It's a great location, but what purpose is it serving us besides storage? And if the city owns it, you know, give it back. Are we ever going to staff it? No, because Station 1's right around the corner.
I would ask if we give up all that storage, where does all that stuff go?
Well, a lot of that storage, the materials can probably be repurposed to other agencies. And if we need to have storage, we can build storage in. Station 4's got a lot of room. And a Connex box or two can easily take in the storage that I saw in that photo.
Yeah, a lot of that material at Station 7 is just old material. It just didn't get thrown away.
Yeah,
It's not used. Okay.
I mean, I look at our map and I've just done a quick circle from each location. And unfortunately, I can't share it with you folks. I don't have that ability nor knowledge of how to stream it. But I mean, we can cover our district easily. I mean, the big important thing is, let's get Station 10's apparatus and facilities up to where it mixes in with all risk response. And man, we've hit the gold mine here. We have so many opportunities to expand this emergency services operation. And unfortunately, it may hurt for a little bit. People thinking, well, that firehouse is closing. Well, that firehouse could barely fit a VW in. Okay, I'm sorry. And it wouldn't even meet NFPA standards to park a fire apparatus in. So, you know, I saw 4's got a crack in that exterior wall. Yeah, that needs to be looked at. Maybe it can be injected with epoxy and seal it up. I don't know. I'm not a structural engineer, but we've got good facilities. Let's take advantage of it. And with that, I'll be quiet.
Well, of the facilities we own, how many are they owned outright or are they mortgaged out? Of the ones we, 313?
Oh,
All.
We
all-
all, yeah.
except for the ones we borrowed from the city.
There's no payments for the state of bills.
There's only a couple that have actually an opportunity where they can actually reuse funds then. Like both giving it up.
Yeah, I don't know how much, I mean, there's the assessed value and I've got all that, but yeah.
How useful is this large room, have a large room?
This one,
Yeah.
Very useful.
I think it is.
I think we not just for our operation, I mean, communities.
Dividing it into.
If we turn this into a living space, if we want to replicate it, keep it in the admin building, maybe have a, yeah, we absolutely need this space.
But would it make sense to have something like this over there where you're admin and you had the conference room above that, like you would here? And this was living quarters?
Some people have suggested that. I'm just thinking how much it's gonna cost to build admin with, you know, a training, you know, room and, you know, a board meeting room. And so all that, you know, but I think ideally, if, you know, cost wasn't a factor, yeah, we would.
I mean, cost of the factor.
I don't know, see, it's putting money into something that is more useful and expanding that thing. Right.
Especially if you need it.
So we thought, well, we'll talk about that again. Other things that we have to do. So Station 3, we need the HVAC, which essentially just, we're just talking about the redundancy pump. Do we continue to allow a resident there? I think that's what our desire is to, if somebody wants to stay up there. Right now, there's only a front truck, a small fire truck up there. It'll come down for the summer, what?
Satisfaction pump?
It'll come down for the summer, and then there'll be nothing out there. If we have somebody up there,
They're friends.
It'll be okay.
I'll leave what we put people up there to do operation. Station 4, that's our main volunteer fire response comes out of there. Needs painted and out. Again, like I said, there's neighborhood pride there. They like their fire station, at least a couple of people do. So we'd like, if we do, replace the containers or build a completely new burner facility, which is something that we're looking at, maybe obtaining a grant to do that. most likely at that property, I think would be the best place to, if we're gonna burn. Try to burn, to do it there. Station 5, again, it's its own, building property owned by a private entity. I have no, indications that they ever want that back or they take it back. It would be nice to, pave the front apron there. There's a well water system, but it doesn't have any storage, so it's just on demand. So we talked about, would this be a possible place to, if we put some storage tanks, they slowly fill up, then could we fill tenders if we're, doing tender operation, water tender operations out there, we could at least get a couple thousand gallons. It would be tough to actually, I guess you can build a big tank if you want, but, at least we get a couple thousand gallons there. Station 6, not used for emergency responses, not used for anything right now. It is owned by a private entity. I was told we own the building, I have no proof of that. Lane County tax rolls, doesn't show a building there at all, so. I don't count that as a building. And do we need that station?
Is that the one that's Roseburg Research?
Yes. Yeah.
But you say what shows the view?
The building, not the property. It's just, one of my firefighters remarked that he thought we owned the building, but I have no proof of that. I have no documentation that says that we own the building. In fact, just before this meeting, I did see an agreement. It just said to put a fire station there, that's all that. I don't think we do. Station 7, again, property building owned by the city. It's in fairly decent shape, especially, we've got two of the sides that are replaced, the other two replaced. We don't use it for emergency responses right now. Small office space, there's no living quarters. It would be tough to make this a response station. I just don't see any way we can do that without adding living quarters or just adding to it.
Big enough to be converted to an admin building?
Would the city let us do that? I don't know, it's about 2,000, just a little 2,000 square feet. I don't know how many offices you can put in there. You get like 2 stories. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Is that right? Is it just directly?
Pretty close. I mean, there's, I don't know what the distance is.
The new brothers is right the next one as well.
There has been one suggested use that we turned into a gym.
So you don't do?
Yeah, we could say on gym membership. Yeah. No basketball hoops, so that's. For that, sort of.
They can put sleeping quarters in there. Close enough to station 1.
Here, yeah, I mean, you are pretty close to station 1. Sleeping quarters would be tough, you couldn't have them, I mean, you have to have them separate from the bay. Because of the exhaust. So I think you'd end up building sleeping quarters somehow either.
In one area, if I may, chief, it'd be silly to have sleeping quarters there and no apparatus.
Yeah, right. Or
Then they have to just drive in the 15-passenger van down here.
Yeah, just staying close to the station.
But as far as the census is what Mr. Webb talked about, we'll say your basic administration services, that's a thought. Your idea of the gym. Because again, one of those that's owned by the city, you lose it.
Yeah, and I've never heard that they have a specific use for that property or an idea. So, yeah, I mean, there's how much money we would want to put into it. Yeah, definitely not a response station, but other uses, yeah, I hadn't thought about it.
And then I would bring up, and I'm being snarky on this one. How'd you collect all that stuff and not get rid of it?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
You never know, you might.
Oh, hey, if I haven't used something in 6 months, I get rid of it, then 7 months After that, I go buy a new one.
Boo-boo.
Just ready
Well-
to safety here.
And old Geiger counters.
Yes.
Yeah, state name, again, we get a volunteer fire response from there. No interior living space, they already had in the back. It is our main station, it's south of the bridge, so that's something in its favor. And it is owned by Split Valley. So station 10 is our main EMS response, get back with fire responses. Property owned by Peace Harbor Retail, the building belongs to Westland Ambulance District. I think haphazard interior design, it's easy to get lost in there. Bays are not adequate to house fire apparatus, good for ambulances. It would be tough to put a fire engine in there. We could, I mean, you could lift the roof, be expensive, and, or you could expand to the side there.
And see, I would ask on that one, if I might, Chief Schick,
Take it.
I would ask on that one, and I'd be more concerned with the fact that in that agreement with Peace Health, could we put fire apparatus there?
It doesn't say you can't, but, I think that's a discussion we want to have.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because if you went to build, then building for the purpose of fire apparatus, would there be an issue there?
Yeah, we definitely have to clear that up with them.
That was an interesting site because there's space to the north and then, but if you finish that out, you probably want to access 9th Street from Elm Street.
Then you have those paths too.
Well, it becomes the nightmare on Elm Street. You just have to pay that part, and bring it right by the horse.
Right.
And then there's your access.
Yeah.
And that'd be actually, there's a big hole back there though. It's like a sword.
Yeah, it may take some information or.
Yeah, but the site is large and they're amicable. That's why they wanted it for future expansion.
I think ideally, if we had a fire EMS response from station 10, fire EMS response from station 1. I mean, essentially those are the stations we cover the district now.
Well, and where the location of 9th Street and where Station 1 is on 101. Yeah, you're absolutely correct.
Right. And to say, well, can we use another station? Well, you can always use another station, but the staff. I think right now we're pretty much fully staffed. I don't see us getting much bigger as far as full-time personnel. So then the staff of third station would be difficult. For full-time. So in summary, for admin building, we feel we need 7 offices, 6 cubicles, a board meeting room, public meeting space. Room. Could we incorporate our emergency operations center? This is what this area is used for, the training or emergency operations center. We have some discussions with the city over the last couple of years. That they use EOC as public works. Okay. Our feeling is that we don't want an emergency operations center at a working fire station because it's going to be too busy. And this would be a big incident. This is where you have, your incident commander, everybody that's more. Explain the EOC. They would handle the operations of a big incident. And I think it would be more feasible to have it more at public works during this year.
And I would echo what you said, we don't want the EOC in a building of our first response. The EOC is better off only located in a subs area, so that way it doesn't take the daily operations. So you have your IC, your planning operations, everything that's dealt with in dealing with large case incident. That's not necessarily always the Cascadia. We get the windstorms here that on this day, right at 13th storm that leveled the area. That's more realistic that we would activate EOC.
And we don't need a room this size for FUC. I didn't put training room there, but we certainly could have the public meeting space, conference room could be similar to this size. I just don't want to give this up unless we're gonna put it somewhere else. If we're gonna put it somewhere else, then yeah, we can use this space for something else, for the space or whatever. Or, so just as an example. It's,
So friendly face action, huh?
so City Hall, I mean, they did a remodel. I don't know what it looked like beforehand. It was finished when I got here. But that size, you've seen the council chambers, I think that'd be a great size for board meeting room. It's got a little conference room on it, but I don't know how many offices they have there, just to give you an idea. I mean, that was a $3 million remodel, what kind of prices. And this was 2019, it was finished. So, as an alternative, we talked about, so we have in red there, that's this property, fire station. Across the street, that property is owned by Western Lane Ambulance District, and fire lot. A little bit smaller lot. But still a good sized lot. So could we put an ambulance building there? Certainly could look into it. So some of the things we've been doing over the past year, we've talked to a couple architectural companies, some of the conferences we go to. One of their proposal was to do, if we wanted to do a district-wide master plan, and what that would be, we have our strategic plan, and then this is separate. This would be what stations do you have? What stations do you need? What were their response areas? Sort of like what Jim was talking about. They would also look at the conditions of the stations. What kind of repairs might be needed now and in the future. And they had a cost, and again, this is a year old, so I'm sure it's changed, of about $45,000. We also asked them, what would it cost to look at just this station? If we wanted to extend out into the current parking lot, how much would that cost to rebuild the station? Yes, sir.
Question as far as expansion, you just brought up this part, this building, this property. What about to the north? Is anybody,
The bowling alley? Yeah. I mean, now that it is available, I don't know what the cost would be.
I don't think it's cheap.
Yeah, that's.
well, nothing's cheap. But I don't, I'm not, but there's been other properties that we've dealt with, and the sense of the location of the property north relating to attaching this building with a fire apparatus where you can literally go through.
Would they trade, properties or something? Yeah.
I don't know. But my thought, I mean, that property is so ideal that you can just connect and go back.
We could open it up as a bowling alley.
Yeah, we can have bowling.
There's the need. Yeah, the gym.
So, the just looking station one was about 37. About $72,000. That was just one company that gave us a bid for that. And that's architectural work, structural, civil engineering, mechanical, and electrical engineering.
Looking to the west, or expanding this to the west, and maybe opening parking up on the other side. Your possibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably.
You go, I mean, it's fairly good sized lot. But we definitely use a lot of the front that we have to go somewhere else. Yeah, so everything's an option right now. So good right now. Put a sky bridge over the road, so nobody gets hurt.
Exactly. I can.
It's such a busy road.
It actually is pretty busy with all the school kids and parents and stuff.
Yeah. Middle school tractor cars, through. Gotta be fast running.
You know, right? No, I think some of the things that we'd like to propose to the board was that we prepare a request for a proposal for a station feasibility study, like we talked about. In addition to a standards of cover study, that's what Jim was talking about, is you look at from each station. How far can you respond in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, maybe whatever response time. So that gives you a coverage with that. Insurance, it's different, but they look at that as well, so. What they look at is, okay, here's your fire station, you live within 5 miles. You have a higher fire. Well, it's tied in, but it's a little bit different. They also request an RFP for architectural and engineering firms to design new admin building. If that's, I mean, we've got a lot of different suggestions tonight, we go over into the bowling alley. Do we do it here? Do we do Station 7? Those are all things that I think we would bring in an architectural firm and talk to several and give us ideas and maybe some, concept drawings about what it might look like. And how much space do we do? I have no idea how much space. 7 offices, 6 cubicles, and a board meeting room, and whatever else goes along with that, and parking with taking.
First, I'd love a third party to come in here and do a standard recovery study along with the station analysis, give us some ideas.
Yeah.
That's great. How much money do you think? We're the 70, but if you're budgeting 100,000 for something like that.
I think that would work. Again, then do we say you can skip Station 6, or do we include that in the process? I mean, those are things that we can decide.
I would skip it.
Down the road, do we look at an RFP for addition of outdoor space to 10? There was one done some years ago, so we have some idea of what it would entail. And do we look at expanding Station 1?
Hello, I raised my hand.
Okay. I can't see it. You have a go ahead.
See ya.
Hi, going back to the previous screen on the RFP for a standards of coverage, I recommend that we save those dollars and put it towards others because we are a rural district. We can do it ourselves. I've done them. They're not difficult. And we've got some very talented people that can easily pull the data necessary off of our run volume logs and determine what is necessary. We're going to pay anywhere between $50,000 and $75,000 for something that we can do in-house. So I'm not for an RFP going out for this. The other
Okay.
stuff, absolutely, but not a standards of coverage.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing that up, because I'm gonna play ignorant, because to me, that doesn't seem like a value added for what we already know about our station.
It's
So-
not. It's not a value. No, it's a waste of money.
But I do see
Waste of
some
money.
some of it with, so Mike, why would you
Well,
like to know that we already know that?
From
we're
my
going to do that?
standpoint, and I understand, Jim, you could come up with something so good that you can probably a very accurate study. But having a third party make a statement or a report that we can sell to the voters if we have to ask for additional monies to do something could be of value. And that's the perspective I come in and say, okay, this is what they're telling us we need to do, rather than us coming up with that suggestion is a selling point. That's all.
And I look at it, I mean, Station 4, I think is a good example for us. I mean, you have people that live around there, they call 911, how quickly do we need to get there? And that's the decision that the directors have to make. And if we say we want to be there in 10 minutes, we have to staff that station with people. We say, no, 15 minutes, 20 minutes is what their response times are gonna be, then, but we have to know how many calls are out there, how much would it cost us to staff that station for 10% of our calls or 5% of our calls. And that's just the trade-off that the directors have to decide on. So that's where I look at a standard cover. Where are your calls? What are your response times? It may show us, it wouldn't in this situation, but it could show you, you need a station 7, you need to staff that station because you have so many calls around that station and your response times aren't fast enough to meet what you've decided your response time should be. That's not gonna happen, but that's the kind of things that you get in that information. Tim's right, we can do that. We know where our calls are. We can plot those. We know what our response times are. We can do that.
If we feel that we could come up with a report that we can sell to the public and show the same kind of background, I'd be all for that. If you guys are comfortable with that.
Yeah, it just, I mean, we've got the data, it's just exporting it into GIS type of data.
But even with that, let's say we decided as a group to shut down station 5, 6, and 7. Do you think the public's really be terribly disappointed that we cut out things we're not utilizing? I mean, for me as a consumer, right, in the public, I'd be like, well, great job to cut back on what we're not using and.
Well, if I
focus
lived
on
down
the
there,
library.
I didn't realize we're not using. And I think I've got a fire station. What's my perception?
Public education.
Well,
Yeah.
If they think they got a fire station out there.
I mean, they drive by, they see the sign, and got a fire station.
6 even have a sign.
I don't think so. I don't know.
No, 6 is- it was-
5
I thought 6 was part of the Grange.
Yeah, or you can,
Looks like it's something there.
they just look like bonds.
Yeah.
So the study might show us like station 8 could cover 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Is that right?
We could assume that right now.
You could expand it.
I mean, it looks like the only working station in that area.
How many calls do we have out there? What type of calls? That's what an analysis would tell you.
The calls out there. No. The breathing by at least calls are happening in the room. So there one less.
That's what your standard coverage analysis can tell you that, yeah, you should have a station. You have so many calls, you guys aren't covering it. I don't think it would throw down, but that's what you're looking for, the standard cover. Where your people are, how quickly are they responding? Does it meet your goals and objectives?
Well, I don't think it's unheard of that you start shutting down stations for the public with free. And the situation, and then all of a sudden we look like a bunch of bad guys and we're shutting down fire stations, even though their information is based off of incorrect information. So I think we're gonna start shutting things down, we have our ducks in a row.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And I have, not to say that I come in and sell station, I have sold fire stations before. There wasn't a lot of public pushback. These stations that weren't being used. In one case, the guy just bought it for his vehicles. He had a bunch of vehicles he wanted to store. And in the second case, it was right next to an old historical schoolhouse. And they wanted, and the station was right next to it, and they just wanted to expand. And really, we got no citizen pushback. I'm not saying that we got here. And yeah.
We got some people some time on their hands.
But I think I do remember, going to the paper and explaining what we're doing and why it's sustainable.
But we would be selling any of these little lines. Hypothetically, 5, 6, and 7.
I don't know that we would get, well, yeah, they're long.
Yeah. You don't have to sell them.
You probably put a picture of station 6 up in the paper.
Yeah, 2 and 7.
The rest is pretty important.
So great feedback. You look like you want to say something more.
Yeah.
I just don't understand. I understand the idea of changing things a little bit, but like Station 7 is a prime example. It doesn't cost the city, the fire district anything. Except for utilities.
Unless we replace the roof and siding.
but there's a need for it, whether you turn it into, we'll say, the secondary administration, a gym, or what it's being used now, storage unit. You know, there's a need. Station 6. This picture, there's nothing there, it doesn't cost us anything, and why it, to me, it's not a subject to, it's not a discussion item. It's, you either gonna give it back or maybe put a vehicle in it, I don't know, it's just storage. 7, when you have a sign on it, and I'm sure FIA Timber Partners is not gonna have any problem keeping it. So, and there is, like Mike said, there is a perception out there, and I certainly would want to keep that as a positive perception.
So I think, yeah, I see the choices as, yeah, one, we maybe don't need the stations, get rid of them, but 2, we maintain them like they should be maintained.
And that's the thing, you get rid of them, it's not costing us anything, you're not getting rid of them, you're just giving them to the person who already owns it.
But it might also be an opportunity to say we expand station 8 or expand station 4.
Sure.
Put the maintenance and the adding value for where they're at.
So I think a standard to cover, whether we do it or somebody outside does it, is appropriate. And then from the standard to cover, coming up with a plan for stations would be appropriate.
Yeah.
And to me, every station's on the table. To keep or to get rid of,
Yeah.
This one too.
including this one.
No, actually, yeah, I mean, because we're different now than we were maybe 30, 40, 50 years ago. Questions from the gallery? Get to know these things better.
Yeah, like, what's they're talking about maintenance for a big plan. They're value, public perception out there. I would agree. Is it worth the cost of paving, gravel apron, trucks that maybe leave the station 15 times a year, primarily for maintenance? I don't see that looking at a good investment. Year runs is. So. Well, like was actually. Yeah, and if we could move more of our shoulders from 2 to 7, it's closer and more useful for us, and then maybe put 2 on the. Read. I don't know, it's not cost much, but you know, not a lot of people up there, not a lot of people don't really want to up there. That's, you know, they will really,
Logistically, the remote stations, would they be of any use if we had an event out in that area? Would they become a command center or?
primarily when we have responses in those rural areas, it's vehicles that are responding.
But if we had a long-term event like a fire.
Base camp.
Yeah, you guys can afford operating post or command base, but you could just easily have someone's driveway or field.
And that's one of the ones that we own the, we're gonna start a speaking program again, I mean, the big station for it.
Oh,
But you're also gonna have to find some over there with no internet, and we already have 2 potential people that are there. Oh, free place to live. Oh, there's no internet.
That sounds wonderful.
Station 1 and station 10 are on star stations, meaning that there are personnel stations, they have personnel at their first punch. We're not gonna do anything for first punch or response. Then you go outside of that, station 4, station 8, would love to develop them to be like resident stations, like station 3 is. But we have that kind of guaranteed, they're available, they come in and help out. And then whatever volunteers in that area comes in and helps out at this punch. That's when we look at our first response is great, it's that counter punch that we're lacking, that we're trying to develop. That's where we have to kind of build those outlying areas to supplement station 1 and station 10. And I'm not a fan of blacking out anything or giving anything away, because like we talked about, as soon as we give something away, we don't get it back. The only one out of all of this, and we talked about it, is 6. I mean, it's.
The company maintenance on 6, yeah, I don't have things to do right now, we are all the time.
Yeah, and we're gonna use it for storage, so it's so.
I think the label thing is out there.
But then you look at it. Yeah,
I would agree.
it's not real. Which then I think that leads station 7, as we talk about, I think as our district has grown. In the last 3 years that I've been in the operations position, we need that one station that we can have an area to put our logistics at and to rotate our things through in and out. And when we look at, like, I'm gonna use Eugene, Springfield, Chamber Street as an example. I know this is a grand example. There are admins there, there are trainings there. This is like 3 city blocks of a fire station. We have kind of a different way of looking at it. We have our 2 stations that are very fun, and then we have logistics over here. That's how we have to look at and manage our system, not just for now or 3 years, but we're looking at how is this going to be managed when we're far gone, and these people are taking over, when the next chief's coming in 20 years down the line, is these buildings are very important. And they don't have to go through these problems that we're going through right now. Chief, when we first had dialogues, when he was hired, what do you need? $20 million and 20 people to solve all your problems. Realizing that's a big ask, and that's never gonna happen, but that would fulfill the needs of this community well beyond our time.
Thanks. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
What's the standard of care in these 2 standard cover?
No standard cover. Is it in RFP
The top one? The top one. The top one. Yeah. And usually when you're doing a station analysis, you join that with, or station feasibility, you join that with the standard cover, you can't. But absolutely, we can do the standard cover and just have the engineers come in and say, this is the, and I think we have a pretty good idea of how stable our facilities are and the condition they're in. Andy Gray does a good job of that, and Matt. So I think we have a good idea, but
Yeah, I kind of wonder if we know, like, Station 7, the exact lot lines, do we know if we can expand it? Is there room to put?
I don't know if the city would have a say in that. Since it's their building, their lot.
Plus, should be part of it, like, I know, I'm pretty sure East Health, we redrew the lease area at one point after the initial lease was drawn, it wasn't intended. So I don't know how much, if we can put a unit there, because I'm not sure. What the size of this lot
At
is.
Station 7, I mean, we could always go to the city and say, would you like to trade this lot for that? And, or would you just like to give us Station 7? I don't know if they have any plans for it. I mean, it's surrounded by the community college and the new friends to the north.
Well, back when Florence Fire was active, it was an ideal spot for that station.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, you know, that's changed 20 years ago.
My hand's up.
Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, Chief, I really hope that the committee is not looking at a feasibility study for standards of coverage for a rural district for stations that are not even staffed. I'd rather see those funds, regardless of the amount, let them go to the stations that are going to be staffed and that serve a purpose.
Yes.
I just look at this whole thing as, yeah, it may look great that it's there, but excuse the term, that's lipstick on a pig. It doesn't serve a purpose. And when the public understands that emergency services are coming from dedicated resources, that's all they care about. And this talk about its standards of coverage, please let's not go down that road. It's going to be a big waste of money that could go to other more valuable projects. Okay, and I'm going to hold steady on that. I disagree with it. Thank
I
you.
mean, is there a current concern that we don't have good coverage?
What's that? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
I'm just asking the back row if they think there's a current concern that we don't have good coverage currently.
We have great coverage.
Well,
And-
define.
We have great coverage, but if you look at the call volume for those stations that are dilapidated, they're not even worth it. I'm sorry. And for those that live out in that area,
I'm responding.
He's asking staff, Jim.
I'm asking
He's
staff.
asking staff.
I want to hear.
I can barely hear. What?
I said I'm asking staff.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
So I guess you have to define, I mean, how long does it take an ambulance to get from station 10 to station 4?
Code line, probably, it takes me 10 minutes to get to work for criminal acres.
So,
And station 4 is another minute out.
yeah.
So.
For emergency.
So that-
So maybe around 8 minutes. So standards of cover study is a moot point with that.
And realistically, we cover the entire fire district pretty predominantly in the station. I can have a fire engine to Clear Lake Road faster from here, from Clear Lake Road Fire Station. And half the time, Clear Lake Road Fire Station is coming back into town. Cover us, because we're out in there.
I think a standard cover would be support or would be really helpful for the engineer to help determine which stations from a purely number standpoint would be appropriate to put money into. So, and I'm not adverse to having staff do a standard of coverage, but having it on paper so that an engineer, when they're doing a station analysis, can determine where he or she would prefer to put money would be an important thing.
So we need numbers, we need to do RFPs to figure out kind of which direction we really want to go.
Exactly.
So we RFP for
I mean, station 1, station 10, that's all you need. That may be the answer. I doubt it, but I mean, that could be the answer. I mean, that you guys, for what you want. Yeah.
No.
I'm not gonna do it, it's volunteers, like your online stations, it's like 5 out Canary. You need to have 3, 4, 5 people out there all the time. So we just don't have that anymore, so all your coverage comes. But you live out of.
You're waiting on trucking towns, like if you live on 18th Street, you're waiting on.
Is that partially why they need more bedrooms too then, because we're more hired?
We had hired more people.
We hired more people
And more
instead of
part
having-
timers.
instead of
And they're doing
volunteers,
shifts now.
and then, you know, volunteers, so we have more people.
Right. And they're doing shifts. They're staying there, they're sleeping here at the station.
Yeah.
It really is.
Really the focus is station 1, station 10. Station 10 can accommodate sleeping. Station 1 was designed for volunteer fire station 20 years ago, and now we fix the motor and put as much super glue and bubble gum as we can to just keep our operations in the way that they're running. It's not a first half station, and it's not conducive for the next 20 years either.
This one then?
This one, yes. Just in the fact of right now, like all the cooking comes out of our main cooking area right here, but that's not, there's not a separate living area for the crews.
What, cooking here, we're really adequate to me tonight.
Our bedrooms that are used, and And there's the 4 Murphy beds, we usually have anywhere between 6 or 7 people around 24-hour shifts. So I personally don't like sleeping next to somebody that's going through it loud, and I'm sure that's going on.
We don't have anywhere to sit other than office chairs. I mean,
We can just say it, or living quarters.
LT,
this is our home 2 days a week and it's, you know, I'm sure you like to sit in a nice chair.
Yes. LT, go ahead.
I had better living conditions in Afghanistan than our party members do. And I don't know.
Well, there's a statement.
I, you know, our people shouldn't have to endure working here. This should be their home where they can recover from falls, to be prepared for fall.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get my head around, it's a different, I mean, it was built for a different time, and there were a lot more things that are done in different purposes, but now we're involved, and it's probably not gonna go back.
Yeah.
On the mix was out version too.
Good one.
I would love to give you guys a tour of what we, where we live.
Yeah.
Here, 10, 10. And 10 is built to live, this one is built to respond, that's part of it, combined with the state problem.
The RFPs.
Yes,
So
and
we
so,
need to figure out what can we actually do then,
right,
because there seems to be a need. You know, what can we afford?
and that would require board approval, so it's not like we're gonna go off on our own and come back with a finished plan, but, so there'll be more discussion, more, this is what we can do. And then, and we'll get board approval.
It's like tonight's meeting was just informational.
Yes, and get feedback, which I think we got great feedback, and you guys know where the stations are. Yeah,
So, Director President, how did you guys go about getting the donation money? You're gonna get it to the city park. How hard is that?
Well,
Maybe you did it, the library did it, somebody else.
Yeah, we did. You know, in a nutshell, we did a feasibility study with the community first about the concepts of what they would be willing to give. We cut the project in half based on that feedback. Got the architect to do a really detailed design with you guys and with some public members. Ambulance was included in that. And then we had our campaign, and I mean, the campaign was, we went out to people's houses, we went anywhere to speak about it.
Is that something that we could accomplish? Could get?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, but you're getting a lot of that, and you start getting an architect involved early, and you have a plan. It's what people want, they want a story, and you gotta develop a story, and that's what this would do. There's a lot of cool questions and comments that would be really helpful for the public.
FEMA money or money for this kind of expansion?
But the difference, Rick, you remember back in the late 80s, it was all about something brand new. Than something where we're talking now, the possibility of additions or repairs, that type of thing. And that's what that was the easy part of the sell back in the 80s was brand new.
Yeah, the ED though was what we model of
Yeah.
site expansion.
we have a second item on our agenda, but I think we'll postpone that to another time. The staffing. If that's okay, Director. Sure. Some great feedback, and I appreciate it. And board meeting next Thursday. I know, get used to Thursdays. And we got budget meetings next week.
Come on.
Okay, thank you.
Come on, everybody.
Don't have-